Hello and welcome to this video. I thought I should put a sort of welcome to the strange world of Barry Muggle.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Papa's gonna buy you a mockingbird.
Is it on? Hello? Is it on? Hello, anybody there? Is it on? Oi! Right. Hang on. Hello, is that Andy? Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Is it on? Hello? Can anybody hear me? Testing, testing. This is Barry Muggle, and I am a progressive rock fanatic and the resident progressive rock expert on Andy's channel. Hello? Can anyone hear me? Okay, right. Now, what's this number he's giving me? Right, this phone. Let's do it. So. Hello? Yes, this is I, Barry Muggle. I am in your studio. Yes. Yes, I am about to start the video. Yes, I've started. I have pressed record. Well, I'm calling you up because I wanted to ask you a question. What do you mean it's all on the video? I mean, they'll just have to wait. What? I'm not interested in YouTube and what the algorithm does. I'm here to impart information. Okay. Well, I do have a question, actually. Yes. Right. Now, I know we had that to do last night when you asked me to come on the show, because I have spent 2 years, Mr. Edwards, working on an album ranking for the Enid. And I have now finished it. And I'll ring you up and say, do you want me to do this after 2 years solid work? And what do you say, Mr. Edwards? No. You want the 10 biggest prog tossers. And you think you're going to squander my knowledge and expertise on this incredible music genre, wasting it on such a stupid and trite video as this? Well, okay. If we're in agreement that later on, in the future at some point, at your discernment, that I can do the album ranking of the evening, I will do it for you. But I have another issue I've got here, and I'm afraid I'm not going to do 10. No, I'm not doing 10. It doesn't have to be 10, Mr. Edwards. I know you always do 10. It doesn't have to be 10. I've done 7. Well, because look, I am not trying to break the magic formula, Mr. Edwards. That's not what I'm trying to do. It's your 7's my lucky number. Why? Because we got 7 days a week. You got 7 notes in an octave. You've got 7 brides for 7 brothers. You've got the 7 dwarfs.
In different cultures all across the world, the number 7 is considered to be a little extra lucky. But when did people start calling 7 lucky, and why did it catch on? Let's find out. There's 7 days in a week, 7 traditional colors in a rainbow, 7 continents, and 7 wonders of the ancient world, just to name a few of the uncanny connections to the number 7. Over time, the number took on even more meaning as religions across the world started getting in on the magic of our lucky number. 7 often represents perfection or completion in the Christian Bible. There are 7 heavens in Judaism and Islam, and in Confucianism, it represents the combination of yin and yang and wu-zing, or the 5 elements.
Yes, you might find. I mean, I have a very strong interest in numerology. Actually, I am a little bit of an expert in it myself. Yes, I do count to 7,000 before I go to sleep every single night, without fail, and I enjoy doing such a thing. Okay then, so I'm all right doing 7. Yes, is that okay? Right, I'll start the video then. Right, so we've started, have we? Okay, where's my pen? This is my lucky pen. I'll just put it into I hate to call it this, but I think people call this a bum bag. This is a very useful piece of kit you may find, and I know Andy doesn't give these sort of life lessons on his video, but you'll find this is very useful. You can keep all your equipment in there, anything useful. I've got a calculator in there, little notebook, couple of pens, all sorts of different things in there, you know, a mini screwdriver. I've got some nail clippers in there. I've got a bit of super glue in there, a lot of stuff. Then, as you go throughout the day, you can sort of use this stuff to help you in different situations. And I find that it's very comforting just to have it there, you see, right now. What I'm going to do on this video is I'm going to be going through your nails and animals, all my nails and animals. I'll just tell Andy that so he knows. I have come up with the 7 biggest tossers in progressive rock.
Progressive rock. A rock music genre originating from the late 1960s and early 1970s, heavily influenced by classical music and jazz. Progressive rock synonyms: prog rock, PROGRESSIVEROCK. Progressive rock. Tosser. A male who masturbates. An objectionable male, often somewhat obnoxious in demeanor. One who tosses or throws something. TOSSER. Tosser.
Now, number 1 on my list is Peter Nicholls, the lead singer of the progressive rock band IQ.
Hi everybody, this is Peter Nicholls from IQ, just saying a big hello to all of you in the German Genesis fan club.
Now, Andy has told me that he was, for a short while, the drummer in the progressive rock band of IQ, and he said that Peter Nicholls was a very nice man. Fussy about his sandwiches, but apart from that, a very nice man, reasonable man. But I don't think this is the case, and I don't believe him. And I want to tell you why. Because we all know that in the photographs with IQ, Peter Nicholls looks like he is of a normal size, doesn't he? But apparently he's not. He is a gentleman of diminished proportions. Now, there's a number of ways you could describe such a person. Some of these words I do not want to be using. I can remember when I was a younger man, I had an uncle. He was a bit flash. My mum always says, keep away from Uncle Harry because he's a bit flash. And he was always one for the ladies, going around in his sports car as he did. And I do believe that he had a sports car made by British Leyland, which had the same name as a certain word that we're not allowed to call a gentleman of diminished proportions.
Good going, MG midget. You sure make the going good. Good going, MG midget. You sure make the going good. Good going, MG midget. You sure make the going good. Good going, MG midget. You sure make the going good. You make the going good.
Anyway, Peter Nicholls is such a fellow. And he became famous on Game of Thrones, acting, doing all sorts of things as a little man. And I thought, yes, that makes perfect logic, because you've got IQ, and they did their it was like a rock opera. They made it into a film called Subterranean. It was a very interesting thing, and I enjoyed it very much when I saw it. I saw it 15 times on that tour, in fact. And it was very enjoyable, and I thought Peter did a great job. So when the Games of Thrones people wanted to use him, I thought that's a very good idea, and I thought he did a very good job. But as I've elucidated at the start of this video, I am a huge fan of numbers. And so anything with a number 7 in, I'm a fan of, except perhaps the 7 deadly sins. I'm not a fan of the 7 deadly sins. But on the whole, I am partial to the number 7. And since I was a little lad, my favourite film has been The Seven Dwarfs. Now, Peter Nicholls, after getting the role in Game of Thrones, he then comes out, and then Disney are making a film, and he says, "This isn't right. You're not going to be. It's insulting to have dwarves in a film." And I thought, well, it's all right for you to say that, Peter Nicholls. I mean, you have all this work, you have all the money you've made from IQ, and now all the money you've made from Game of Thrones. It's all right for you to shout this around, and then dwarves all over the country, they got very annoyed because they lost work. They lost work, and in the end, they did it with computer graphics. And I think for his diminishment of 7 jobs for 7 dwarves, I think that Peter Nicholls should be on the list. What's that? Hello? Hello, Andy. What? What? No, he is Andy. What? No, Peter Dinklage, that's just a name. It's a pseudonym he's used. He's always dressed up as Dr. What's he called? Dr. Pepper or whatever he is? Yes? No. No. That's not him then. But they look exactly the same. What, he's normal sized? Oh, well, I do apologise. I've embarrassed myself. And maligned Mr. Nicholls. Okay, just carry on. Is that what I need to do? No, I'll go now. I'll be all right. It's so embarrassing. Oh, it's embarrassing. This is. I thought they were this is like just as bad as what I thought. Tony Banks was Tony Blair, the Prime Minister of England. I keep making these mistakes all the time. Let's just carry on. Who's next on my list? Shall we just carry on? Right. So, it's number 6. I've got, there's another tosser here. He's, I'm a bit worried about, I'm a bit worried if facts are all wrong. I don't know what to do now. Because on number 6, I've got Fish.
With the amazing amount of energy the average rock and roll band exude in a 2-hour gig, and Marillion are definitely no exception, then you'd expect them to work up quite a sweat.
I'm sure you sweat. Yeah, we do.
The aspiring pop stars of yesterday, it seems, are now the perspiring stars of today.
What we doing? Yeah, time for a beer then.
Fish and Marillion, and I always thought that Fish and Marillion was like, because he was so tall, Fish from Marillion is actually technically a giant. And I had a whole bunch of stuff saying, isn't it interesting, if you take the 2 neo-prog bands, you have Peter Nicholls, who is a dwarf, and then you have Fish, who is a giant, and then, of course, we have Nick Barrett, who is actually part Griffin. But I was going to compare Fish from... none of this is going to... This is going terrible. I really thought I was about to do the greatest video in Andy's channel's history, but it's all gone wrong here, this has. I don't really know what to do here. Maybe I should reconvene. I mean, the other giant that we had in progressive rock is, of course, Chris Squire, who was also technically a giant. And it's interesting because Chris Squire's nickname was Fish, but now I say this, I don't know whether this is the case. I mean, I'm not saying that Fish is Fish from the Chris Squire Fish. No, I don't think this at all. I'm very confused actually at this moment in time. Maybe I need to come up quickly with some other reasons why Fish is such a tosser. Well, for a start, he's just an egomaniac, isn't he? If you look at all those early Marillion albums, it's all about him, isn't it? Everything's about him. And that's why they got rid of him, because he couldn't have it all his own way. He's Scottish, he's bossy, I just don't like him. I love Marillion, mind you. They're one of the greatest bands of all time. I don't know, the American viewers are very confused because the first great, the beginning bit of this video has been all about neo-prog, which of course is the best of all the progs. But maybe I just need to move on now. This is not going well at all. Right, let's have a look, shall we? So, who's next on the list? Right. This guy is called Carl Palmer.
It's going to be smaller. It is what it is. I know what I'm doing. He's lying. I'm kind of a delicatessen now, more than a supermarket.
And he constituted a third of the progressive rock band Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Now, I want you to notice that Emerson, Lake and Palmer, that we have 3 here. Now, 3, of course, is a very special number, as I've told many people, because it forms the triangle, the perfect triangle, which it really is an interesting number because it hints at the great dialectic, of course. And I have been studying numbers for a number of times. Now, if you have 3, and we take that as a very special number in terms of creating all forms that exist in the world around us, then we have the number 7, which is the process in which these things that are made of 3 parts, in which they sort of evolve or come about. Now, 3 times 7 is 21. Now, if we add 2 and 1 together, we get 3. Now, of course, 3 is the number of people in Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Now, we could also look at the number system there. So if we take Emerson, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, E, the 5th number, so we have a 5. Then if we take Emerson Lake, we have A, B, C, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, which is 12. We have 5 and 12. We can add those together and we get 17. That's very interesting. 17. Then we can take the P. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. That's 50, 60. Okay? So now we add 17 to 60. And that comes up with a number that is equal to 33. Now, we have now 2 3s. We add those together, we come up with the number 6. Now, Carl Palmer, I know is very into his, he's very deeply into his numbers, and he went to see a numerologist about this friend of mine called Madam Betty Bumper. And she said the fact that there's 2 3s in the name Emerson, Lake and Palmer means that there will be 2 ELPs at some point in history. So once the other chaps had died, he thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out on tour and I'm going to replace them with video. And he felt justified in such a thing because of the numbers. He pointed to the numbers saying, look at this, absolutely fine to do it. And so he's been going off, pretending to be ELP, even though the other members are dead, which I think is a little bit of is a bit presumptuous, I would say. Would you not say that? Now, a friend of mine went to see the show and he went up and he said, under what sort of justification, Mr. Palmer, do you go off around the world, you know, playing in what you are calling an ELP or tribute or whatever you want to call it? It's not ELP at all. Those 2 other members are actually video. And he said, well, and went through the numbers. And then my friend turned about and said, what about Emerson, Lake and Powell? Emerson, Lake and Powell was the second version of the band. So the numbers are true. We can't doubt the numbers. But it did not add up to 333, did it, Mr. Palmer? And I think you should rethink what you are doing with your life at the moment. Going around thinking that the present incarnation of ELP, which you are pretending in some way relates to ELP, is actually, it's an imposter. And it demeans the good name of ELP. That is all I'm saying. Shall we move on? I think I've had my say there. Right, who have we got next on the list? Right, so the next one. Right, so at number 4, I have, well, he is a bit of a tosser, isn't he? And I think it's not said enough. Mr. Robert Fripp. All the way through the history of progressive rock, Robert Fripp was a tosser. He invented progressive rock in 1969, but did he? Because he's taking credit for it. What about Procol Harum? What about The Nice? What about Pink Floyd? What about the Moody Blues? I mean, they all were doing prog before King Crimson. I think The Nice were doing proper prog. I mean, more proggy prog than King Crimson ever was by the time we get to 1969 when they bring out their what was it, Ars Veritas? That album is full on prog, isn't it? I think it is, yes. And I think that Robert Fripp comes in. He takes over the band, King Crimson, sacks everybody else, becomes the dictator of such a band. And then, when prog is magnificent and we all love it, he decides to poo-poo prog by forming another type of band, which was sort of prog, which was the King Crimson that withheld Jamie Muir and John Wetton and all sorts of different people, really. And I like that band, but was it really progressive rock? But then in 1974, what does he do? He slings his hook and off he goes into the ether to reside with a bunch of hippie types in a commune down south there, studying J.G. Bennett and studying the law of three of the law of seven. And I am happy to report that he has never abused these laws in the way that Carl Palmer has, never in his career. But then he's and this was admitted by Bill Bruford in a recent interview that he did with Mr. Edwards, where they said that he was poo-pooing progressive rock by 1973, casting aspersions on this great genre of ours. So I think for his dictatorial ways, his continual erosion of what we could call the genre of progressive rock, because of that, he is a tosser. Now, recently, he has gained a reputation online for being a stupid fool and under the thumb of the little punk princess who is his wife, Toyah Willcox.
She looks a cracker. Yeah, not all.
Now, Toyah Willcox is a reasonable talent, but I do not remember Toyah Willcox ever inventing a genre of music or professing to, as Robert Fripp has. And also, he's been telling porcupines about his interactions with Jimi Hendrix, trying to make out that Jimi Hendrix thought he was a good guitar player. Now, this has been questioned by some people who know more about this than me, because Jimi Hendrix is not in my field of knowledge, not being a progressive rock group. I only listen to people that are progressive rock, and King Crimson is a progressive rock band, and so I have a reasonable knowledge of Robert Fripp. So recently, under the sort of thumb of Toyah Willcox, he has been partaking in all sorts of videos which are quite frankly, and I know you're not supposed to say this on YouTube, but they are pretty much social suicide. And for some reason, they are so silly that it has redeemed people. Redeems people's thoughts regarding the personality of Mr. Fripp. They all think he's a good sport. Now, many of the progressive rock audience had given up on any form of titillation in the last 5 years. We have all got to a certain age, you know, and me and my wife have not, we have not partaken in any sort of marital pleasures for 20 years now. Now, of course, my wife does not actually exist. She, I made her out of, different sort of, I made her.
This is not right. This is not right. can remember how lonely I felt during the lockdown. I must have listened to Fripp for Jester's Tears around about 347 times, which of course numerologically adds up to 19,
which we can then bring down to 10, 1 and 0. You know, that number's an awful number because it denotes chaos on order, of course. Anyway, but then Robert Fripp comes out with his wife, and what are they doing? She's out there flaunting it all, isn't she? Did you see it? I kept watching these videos over and over again, and I thought to myself, Mr. Fripp, you're a lucky man. You're 80 years old, wherever he is, and there he is with two fine, you know, he's, at any point he can get his hands on. I mean, he's a lucky man, isn't he? And because of this, he seems to have, he's lost his mind. And there he is doing Born to Be Wild and Nirvana songs, and she's dressed him up like a fool. And I thought, Mr. Fripp, I've respected you all my life. I thought you were mean, but firm and fair. And all the people you upset throughout the years with your totalitarian dictatorial ways in the various bands you've been in was justified. And now I see you cavorting and making a fool of yourself in front of millions, while your wife flashes them, I hate to say this word, knockers. Flashes her knockers at everybody. And it's not right. And for that, Mr. Fripp, I have made you on my list of tossers number 4. Right, shall we move on to number 3? As you may have guessed, I am a very big fan of Genesis. Now, Genesis is full of very talented people. Of course, we have the great Phil Collins, who's not only a brilliant drummer, but he's also an incredible songwriter and made some of my favourite pop songs. Yes, I am a fan of pop music. And throughout the 1980s, I was a big fan of Phil. Bought all his albums. Hello, I Must Be Going, probably being my favourite album of his albums. Very, very good stuff on that one. You Can't Hurry Love and all that bit. Very good. So Phil's he's a great talent. And then Mike Rutherford, then in the 1980s, he brought out Mike and the Mechanics, didn't he? And they had all sorts of pop success. Peter Gabriel, he went off, didn't he? Peter Gabriel did. He had Shock the Monkey and Salisbury Hill and Sledgehammer, and then he even got to have a cuddle with Kate Bush, didn't he? I would love to have a cuddle with Kate Bush, I would. Not that it will ever happen. Not that I'll get to cuddle anybody, really, but that's the way it is. These are lucky men in every shape and form, and I've supported them with my hard-earned cash and love for many years. But throughout Genesis, the keyboardist Tony Banks has always seemed like a very bossy chap, saying things should be done like this and things should be done like that, and my composition should be in. And when you see them interviewed, he seems a right bossy boots, doesn't he? Old Tony Banks is there going, well, I want to do this and I want to do that, and then when I did I'm the boss, and I did this, and I'm great, you know. And he's like, that's all he's boasting and being bossy. And I thought, you drove Steve Hackett from the band. You drove Peter Gabriel from the band. You, Mr. Banks. It was you. You are the Yoko Ono and John Lennon of Genesis. And Genesis were never the same. Never were they the same. And then when you got to the 1980s, you thought you could have pop success. And you tried, but you couldn't do it, could you? There was Mike, there was Phil, there was Peter, all able to write pop songs. What could you write? A lot of nonsense and loads of rubbish. Oh, it was, I hate you, Mr. Banks. I hate you. You have spoiled Genesis. I blame you. And then in the end, you get rid of Phil. Mike tags along. Of course, but it wasn't Mike, was it? Calling all stations, it was you. It was you, Mr. Banks. You were the one. You ruined Genesis. Why couldn't you have gone off like Rick Wakeman and done something on ice? Why did you have to stick in Genesis making it terrible? All the time with your terrible tunes. Right.
It just is, you know, and I think that's the thing, really. So, you know, I don't, nothing. It's they can't fault it, but you know, brilliant. Which I added there. So that's what Genesis is all about. Massive, and
the theremin.
I have led a very solitary life, as you might imagine, in my little flat with my cat. Lovely little cat I've got. Hackett, I call him Hackett the cat. Me and Hackett have sat enjoying a box set of Yes or UK. So we've had some very enjoyable nights, me and Hackett. But when you're on your own a lot, then you find that you invent all these different personalities, you see it, and you'll see them coming out here. Oh, this has been a very emotional ride for me. What have we got at number 2 on my list? Well, these guys are right, Tosser. I mean, we can opine at length about Tony Banks and what he's done to one of my favourite bands, Genesis. But of course, my favourite band of all time would be Yes. They are the greatest of the progressive rock bands. And Yes were great from day one. The first album was great. Then the second album was good. And then they brought Steve Howe in. And he didn't make it better, Mr. Howe did, I have to admit. And then they got Rick Wakeman in and it got really good. And then Bill Bruford left, but they managed to keep it together and get a few good albums out. And then since then, it's been, you know, a long descent into awfulness. And they've got a new single out I went and listened to the other day, and I'm thinking, well, it was quite pleasant, actually. But it's very hard for me to hear any semblance of Yes in there, because what is left? What is left is Steve Howe, who has become the de facto boss of this band. And with that, he is, when I say boss, he has become as old and cranky and bossy as Tony Banks, if not more so. And with that, he has waited in a way I find quite sinister for the other members to die off only to be replaced by usurpers that he has brought in. But the thing I hate is that as son as Mr. Anderson, who is Yes, John Anderson, Mr. Anderson is Yes. And as soon as he got a bit ill, Steve Howe pounced. Didn't he? Took it over. And now we have a situation where Yes is basically John Anderson's, is Steve Howe's band. And I ask myself, how could such a thing happen? How could this happen to such a great band? And the thing is, are we doomed as Yes fans every 2 years to buy the next album that comes out? Grabbing at the dregs of the band that we love. Wouldn't it have been better for them to have gone? To have called it a day, have said, that's it, we're done. Go back, listen to Relay, listen to all these albums. No. It is like the Damned, not the band The Damned, like the Damned walking that nether region between hell and heaven, purgatory, waiting for the next Yes album in the hope that maybe it will all come together and there'll be another in the heart in the heart of the sunrise, or to be over or awaken. And we go out and buy it every single year. They get our money every single time. And what does that money, what does it do? It goes into the Steve Howe Fund. And what does he spend it on? Well, it seems he spends it on facial warts and bad teeth. I mean, if he was spending it on some sort of cosmetic stuff to just get his teeth and his warts sorted out, maybe, because at the moment I find him quite terrifying. Tony Banks is still quite a dashing man. I find him an attractive man to this day, as is Carl Palmer. All these men are handsome men, but Steve Howe was never a handsome man, was he? He was never a handsome man, and now, I mean, the man has procreated, which is more than I have done, so maybe I should not have a go at him, but anyway. Oh, this is difficult. I wish I was doing the Enid. Right, let's go to number one. So, at number one on my list of the biggest tossers in prog history, it has to be Roger Waters.
That the guy's a complete prick. I don't care about Black Sabbath. Da-da-da, here we go. Piers Grow Up. He's an idiot. I've never wanted for a few quid. And he is, obviously. But I think he's damaged. He's very damaged. For hundreds of years with his idiocy and nonsense. This is an absurd conversation. Are you insane, Bono? I'll answer that, Bono. Yes, you fucking are, mate. Cowards. I'm not going to talk about my personal wealth. It's none of your business, and it doesn't matter. What does matter is that I have stood up for human rights all my life. Please stop.
The horse-faced de facto ruler and then leaver of Pink Floyd, Roger Waters, the socialist millionaire, going about the world fighting Israel for what it's worth. Roger Waters, who ruined Pink Floyd. It has to be said, Roger Waters, there he was playing bass, not a very good bass player, but he was playing bass in Pink Floyd. Richard White had the chords, Syd Barrett had the tunes, Nick Bassett had the delicate touch. And there was Roger Waters, looking all horse-faced, playing his bass, coming up with a good riff every now and then, set controls for the Heart of the Sun. Great stuff. Then Syd Barrett goes, doesn't he? Because he goes off his head. And they bring in Dave Gilmour. He tries. He can do some nice guitar solos, can't he, old Gilmour? And they do all sorts of, well, I have to be honest, prog nonsense, really. There's a whole bunch of albums then that are pretty poor. I mean, Ummagumma, what the hell's that? Eventually we get Metal with the tune Echoes. Echoes is really good. Right, they're not they're not Genesis. You're not going to get any 17/8 or great orchestral playing. It's mainly the same chordal tricks and Dave Gilmour guitar solos over and over again. But back then it was a novelty, especially when you lace it with lots of tape effects and alarm clocks going off and songs about existential angst and all that bit. And I think Dark Side of the Moon is actually a fantastic album. Wish You Were Here, more of the same, a little bit middle of the road perhaps. You know, by this time I'd got into my Gentle Giant. But people liked it, they did Animals. But Roger Waters, the whole time, he's trying to gain control. And eventually he gets control, doesn't he? And he says, I want to do this album, The Wall. And The Wall's a huge hit, and that was a mistake. That was a mistake, I'm afraid. Yes, We Don't Need No Education was a big hit single, but I don't think it did the youth much good. I can remember in my school, a lot of the rougher boys, on hearing that, would say, Miss, we don't need any education, when we were trying to be taught something. There they were, trying to explain the Battle of Agincourt or something to us, as we were, the young boys. Geoffrey Tusk, there he is. He was always cheeky in our class, old Geoffrey was. Jeff the Tusk, we used to call him, because he had this one big fang. Back in them days, the dentists weren't what they are now, and he'd had this great big fang and it grown the wrong way. Which was ironic, because his surname was Tusk, you see, which... Well, I found quite interesting, you know, when you get somebody with a name that says something about themselves, especially some of them about their visual appearance. I mean, anyway, that's and Jeff used to go, Miss, we don't need no education. You're just some great big hammer trying to push me into a great big mincemeat so you can make me into some mince and make me into some sort of sausage. And then when you've got me as some sort of sausage, what are you going to do with that sausage, Miss? I want to know. And we all used to giggle. I don't know why. Right, and what was her name, my teacher? Scottish she was. That Scottish lady. Miss Pepperworthy, her name was, yes. So Miss Pepperworthy would say, Jeff, stop being so cheeky. I am here to educate you, young man. Now, all of this was Roger Waters' fault. And then for the last 40 years, he has been one of the most boring artists ever. Why are we even still talking about him? Surely, back in 1982 or whatever it was when Roger went, surely they could have got someone in to replace him at that moment and then carried on being Pink Floyd rather than turning into some sort of bland version of Dire Straits. The whole thing ruined, and still progressive rock fans think they're wonderful. I don't. I'd moved on by then to all sorts of different bands. You know, if I wanted some Pink Floyd, I could go and listen to Stephen Wilson or somebody like that and listen to them rip them off. Right, that is Roger Waters done. I do apologise for this video. I do not feel I have done a good job at all on this. It's been what it is. But I hope that I have alerted you to the fact that as progressive rock fans, we may love the genre and we may look after it and we may tend it like a gardener would tend a tiny little plant that needs tended. You may think that's what we are here to do, but it doesn't mean that we cannot criticise our heroes. But all these musicians on this list are my heroes. And if they have watched this, I doubt they will, but if they have watched this, I do apologise for saying this. Andy made me do it, and I would have been much happier trying to get through my ranking of the Enid. So, thank you for watching. What did he say? I've got to say. He's written it down here somewhere. Got to say something. Right, here we go. So, please like and subscribe if you want to see... Oh, Andy's writing's terrible, isn't it? It's like a bloody inky spider walking across a page. If you... God, bloody hell. Hello, Barry Muggle. Hello, Andy. No, I'm doing it right now. I'm finishing right now. Yes, I was reading it out. How did it go? I don't think it was very good, to be honest. No. I don't think I did a very good job. I seem to be very meandery. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much entertainment value in this one, no. No. I know you need a video every day. Well, put it out. It's a video. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Okay. I will say that. Please like and subscribe. What else? If you want to become a member here, you can. Or you can become a member of Patreon, and there's loads of free stuff there and stuff to pay for. If you would like myself to be paid for doing this job, then put a bit of money in the PayPal tip jar link down below and mark it for Barry. Yeah, I'll appreciate that. Yes. Okay, Andy. Yeah, I guess maybe next week for the Enid review. Okay, thank you. I'll say bye-bye to them. Bye-bye, everybody.